It is that time of the month again. The time where we talk about all of the books I read in June, plus their ratings. Feel free to grab a cup of coffee or tea and let's sit and have a chat. So y'all, I just finished reading this book. I'm gonna let you know what it's about, my rating, without giving any spoilers. This is the first book that I have finished in the month of June. If you haven't seen the reading vlog of the summer reading series, then go and check it out. I'll leave it linked below. So basically, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez is about two people who can be the most different people. Like, they are complete opposites. Alexis Montgomery is like an ER doctor, but she stems from a long legacy of 125 years, a long legacy of doctors and surgeons. Well, actually not doctors, well, surgeons. I'm talking like documentaries on the History Channel, surgeons, right? But she's just an ER doctor. How basic of her. She also has a twin, Derek, okay? They're all doctors. Like, when you are born into this family, you are expected to be a Montgomery doctor, Dr. Montgomery, right? They have this huge legacy at this one specific hospital in this area, and they're like obviously rich doctors, surgeons. They're on the cover of magazines and all this kind of stuff. And then you have Daniel, who is the literal opposite of her. Like, doesn't have a higher education. He lives in like a very small town, itty-bitty town in the middle of nowhere. Oh, he's a carpenter and he owns a B&B, but like the B&B that he owns is like the Grant house. What is going on in this small town that nobody ever goes to? Like, nothing's going on. So he basically is just like the everything man. Like, the Grant family, they also have a very long legacy of like people who basically take care of that city that they're in. Waken? Yeah, so girl, they couldn't be more opposite. And also Alexis is a city girl. She grew up with people like doing everything for her. Like, she never learned how to cook. They had chefs, they had people to tend the lawn, like all this kind of stuff. But then you have Daniel, who if anything breaks, he's the one fixing it type. You know what I'm saying? So like, that was really interesting. I just love that dynamic of a small town person. Like, Alexis meeting Daniel turned her whole life upside down. This guy is a country guy, country boy, okay? Literally. But their chemistry is undeniable. And like, the hardest challenge is like, based on what the synopsis is saying, how to collide the world. She's a doctor, he's a carpenter in two different cities, but their chemistry is just whoa. Yeah. So obviously I forgot to even say it. I gave this book 5 stars. Clearly like 5 stars. Like 10 out of 10 would recommend. I would read this book like again. I literally just finished reading this book like 2 seconds ago. I started filming this for like the wrap up of that reading vlog, but then I was like, you know what? I should just like combine all of the wrap ups into one video because that would be really different and cool, in my opinion. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I could literally reread this book again right now, even though I know what's gonna happen, because now that I know what's gonna happen, I'm like, this makes me so happy. 10 out of 10 recommend. If you like small town shows on Netflix, like Sweet Magnolias, those small town shows where like one person is so different from these people and then like that person comes in and changes everything, and it's just, yeah. I'm a city girl who lived in a small town for at least 2 years, and I'm afraid of like rodents and like roaches and stuff, you know? So whenever I'd be outside in the country, you would see bugs and stuff, and girl, I'm like, I just don't. And even though I'm a city girl, there are bugs in the city too, right? But like, I just feel like there are more, what are those things called? Like those little like loud bugs that are in trees and they just like drop down on you. Girl, oh my god. When you have a small town man, they're just gonna laugh at you when you run from bugs. They think it's cute, they think it's funny. But in my head, I'm like, that thing almost like attacked me. So it was a little bit of those vibes in this book, which is why I felt like this story was written for me. It's a contemporary romance novel, but really it hits on so many factors about life. Like, it really does hit so many things. And they had a quote that they kept saying. It was like, grace costs nothing. This has some curse words in it as well. So like, if you don't like books with curse words, they do drop some F-bombs, some S-bombs. That really is it. Like, if you don't like to hear the F word, then sorry about it. Alexis was like, why is everything so hard? And Brie was like, because you have too many to give. And then like, Alexis laughed and she's like, no, I'm serious. Give up some of your and see how much easier things are. You're just spending all your time trying to please everyone else and it's making you miserable. Can you relate? Girl, I was like, oh my god, is she talking to me? Even though this is like a romance novel, there are some like very strong life lessons in this book. What order would you put your life in? You can decide to put yourself first. You do have a choice. It's not an easy choice. It's not without consequences, but you do have a choice. And I was like, Life lessons from part of your world. This is why I love reading. I feel like you can always find a life. This is also why I love Disney movies because you can always find the lesson. Yes, it's a romance novel, but there's so much more. It's like a coming of age story. So if you like books like that, then you're gonna absolutely love Part of Your World. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. We need to talk. Nobody told me that this book would take my heart, rip it out, pound, and then put it back in as if nothing happened. Like, nobody told me. I have literally been in this spot reading this book all day. I have no regrets. Honestly, this was a great way to spend my day. If you haven't seen the reading vlog of me reading this book, it was the second episode of the summer reading series. You should go check it out. That's where I was like talking about it and raving and like, oh my god, this was such a good book. So let me just tell you the rating while it's fresh on my head. 5 stars, 100%. It was a frustrating book, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm like, just say something, just talk to each other. Why are you assuming that this person feels this way? They never even said, like, what? You know what assuming does? That's the energy that it started with. This is the second book of the Part of Your World series. Even if you didn't read Part of Your World, which is the first book of this series, you can kind of still pick this book up and know what's going on. But reading the first book, it definitely gives you some context because Abby Jimenez, the way that she like goes back and forth between the storylines of the first and second book, like you want to read that first book because it just makes the second book much more like personal. Like you feel like you are their friend, like you are invested in this story. This is about Bree's life, and Bree was one of Alexis's friends from Part of Your World. So Bree, that girl has a hard life. Everything that I'm saying is basically on the synopsis with like my spin on things, okay? Because I don't know why I do that. The second sentence of the synopsis says, her divorce is just about finalized. Her brother needs a kidney donor, and there's a new doctor at her job who could potentially take the one position that she wanted. Her life is already upside down, like, but all of this stuff is happening. Like, she meets this doctor. She really wants to hate him because he's a pain in the butt. Like, their first interaction was like one of the worst first impressions anyone could have. You need to read the book to find out, but like, she did not like him at all. And he's kind of like, well, I don't like her either. But then when they like met, and then yeah, so they were just like not vibing, and then he sent her a letter, and that letter changed everything. A handwritten letter. Turns out through his writing, through his letters, he's not Satan. He's not the worst person on the planet. He's actually pretty funny. They have a sob closet where they both go in there and start crying. Then Dr. Jacob, the new doctor, gives Bree's brother the kidney that he needs. Literally it says, Jacob decides to give Brianna the best gift imaginable, a kidney for her brother. And she's like slowly falling for him, not because of the kidney, but is it because of the kidney? I guess you'll have to read to find out. Abby Jimenez just released a third novel. I think it's called Just for the Summer. You already know. If you love romance novels, you probably already read this book. Comment down a yellow heart emoji if you've read yours truly. Anyway, those are my thoughts. So yeah. This book, 5 stars. 5 stars. Because, oh my god, I felt so personally connected to the characters. And the reason why I'm going fast is because I have 1% left on my battery and I'm drinking like chai tea and an espresso shot. So I'm like, zzz. Anyway, this book, absolutely loved it. Like, if you haven't read this book, why? But you need to read Part of Your World and yours truly first before you even think about reading this book. It's not gonna hit nearly as hard if you don't read this other books first. I felt like yours truly could have stood on its own, but this one really cannot. It's so freaking good. Oh my god, it's so good. So anyway, 5 stars. If you kept up with the summer reading series, you know that I finished the summer reading series reading this book, Funny Story by Emily Henry. Oh my god, the easiest 5 stars I have ever given. Like the easiest 5 stars. At first I was kind of like, I was very wrong. It took me on this journey that I was not even expecting. Let me tell you what it's about. So basically, Funny Story is about how this girl named Daphne was engaged to this guy named Peter. He was her fiance, and Peter loved telling their story. It was funny how they met. They met in a very funnily way. And so every time they were with friends and family, Peter would tell the story. It was so funny, so cute. So Daphne moved her whole life to Wanning Bay, Michigan to be with Peter and his family and to start a whole new life together. But then Peter decides that, you know what, I think I'm in love with my childhood best friend Petra. So then Peter leaves Daphne to go be with his childhood bestie Petra. But mind you, Daphne is in Michigan with no family and no friends. Her friends were Peter's friends, because that's what happens when you're a couple, right? Like, it's just become like we, us. But then when he leaves you, now you're just like, oh crap. She's living in Michigan, but she's working at her dream job. And like, she loved reading books to children. She's really good at it. She has this like knack for it, whatever. Not only did Peter leave Daphne for Petra, Petra left Miles for Peter. Petra was also dating someone, and they just left them to go be with each other. So now Daphne and Miles, the newly broken up people, are just like kind of stuck. And so like, because Daphne is basically like stranded in Michigan with no friends or family, she needs a roommate, she needs a place to live, because she was living with Peter. Oh my god. So like, anyway, the only person on the planet who could understand her situation was Miles, Petra's ex. So she becomes roommates with Miles, and they're like the complete opposite, like the complete opposite. And another thing about Daphne is like, she was so secretive and protected and guarded that even the people that she worked with at the library didn't even really know her. They thought she was like in witness protection or like an FBI secret agent. They didn't know much about her. That really sounds like me. Like, I remember my coworkers telling me that like, you're very private, like you don't really talk about yourself much, we don't really know much about you, whatever. And I remember thinking like, that's exactly how I want it. Like, I don't want you guys to know me. But then I realized that that's I don't know. But anyway, Daphne and Miles become roommates, and they basically pretty much avoid each other the whole time because they're like complete opposites. They just like live together, but they don't really like mingle together. But then like one day their friendship starts to blossom, which you need to read to find out. And then they create this devious plan. Their plan involves like creating misleading photos of their like fake relationship. Like, they're so happy, the newly like broken up people, they're so happy. Just for show, we're gonna post misleading photos of us on Instagram showing that we're a really happy, beautiful couple. Because of course, there's no way that Daphne is gonna fall in love with her ex-fiance, new fiance's ex. It's like, what? It's so good. This book is literally like the coziest read ever, but like so fast paced. Like, I read this book so freaking fast. I absolutely loved it. I love this book. If you read Funny Story, leave a comment down below. I highly recommend this book if you're looking for a summer read, but also like a happy, but also like real, like kind of relatable. I just love. And Miles is like my fictional boyfriend. Like, I want a man like Miles. So understanding, but he's going through his own stuff, but like still so understanding, and just my type of book. Get your hands on this now. Go read it now. I promise you will not be disappointed, but if you are, so sorry. Thank you guys so much for keeping up with the summer reading series if you did. The other book I read was Ikigai by Hector Garcia and Francis Miralles. This is the Japanese secret to a long and happy life. It's a very small, quick read. I was reading like 10 pages a day in the morning. I like to start my days off with like motivational, self-help, non-fiction kind of books. I picked up this book when I went book shopping recently, so go check out that video if you're curious. But oh my god, this book has completely changed my life. Every single day I drink like 2 cups of green tea because of this book. I make sure every single morning I go for a morning walk because of this book. It tells you like how people are living over 100 years old. They make it to like 110 years old and they still feel young. And I'm like, okay, I want to live like that. Go watch my book shopping video where I talk about it in more detail, but this is another book that I read and I highly recommend if you want to live past 100 years old. Seriously. Especially if you like self-help and motivational stuff. This is the one for you. And it's quick, short, easy. The next few books that I read were audiobooks, and so the first audiobook that I read in June was The Women by Kristen Hanna. This was my very first time reading a book by her, and oh my god, that book completely changed the way that I viewed history. It was a historical fiction book. The last time I read a historical fiction book was Lessons in Chemistry, and I absolutely ate that one up. This book was actually recommended to me by one of my teacher friends. I didn't even know what it was about. She was like, you should read The Women, and I was like, okay. And so then, oh my god, my life has forever changed. Like, it was about this girl named Frankie who, I mean, it's based around Vietnam, the Vietnam War, and she was a nurse. So her brother went to war, so she was like, let me go and follow my brother's footsteps and go and join the war too, because the whole point, like, her goal was to be on the hero's wall. You have served your country, you have represented the family well, and all this kind of stuff. So she goes off to war as a nurse, and oh my god, like the stuff that happened while she was at war. And it also takes us through her journey of like going to war, being a nurse at the Vietnam War, what it was like there, what she had to do. It was very graphic and like very detailed. Her writing made me feel like I was at Vietnam. I felt like I was in the war. Like, I felt like I was there. Like, it was so descriptive. And I remember thinking like, oh my god, like I would listen to it while I was going for my morning walks, and I would just be walking like don't react, you know? It was that good. I literally was like, oh my god. It was like heart-wrenching as well. The whole underlying message was that like they didn't treat women like they were in the war. Like whenever Frankie came home from the war, they were like, people kept saying like women didn't serve in the war, women didn't serve in the Vietnam War. And even to this day, people don't talk about the women that serves in the wars, the women who are in the army or the Navy or Marines, who are saving these people's lives. Like Frankie used to always say in the book like, oh, if your husband didn't meet me, then it was a good thing. That means that like he didn't need a nurse, he didn't need to get like revived back to life, you know? It was just so sad. But like this made me want to like read way more of her books. I am very late to the Kristen Hanna fan base. Like I am very late to that game. I know she has so many other good books. This was just the first book that was recommended to me. Easily a 5-star read. I want to read more of her books. If y'all have any recommendations by Kristen Hanna, please leave them in the comments below. Like I really want to read another book by her and like actually get the physical copy, because I was just blown away. Like I had no idea what the book was going to be about. Like based on the cover, it's like you see a helicopter or whatever and it says the women. I thought it was going to be like kind of like Lessons in Chemistry, had that same effect of like women are people and we need to be treated like as such, you know? Women did serve in the war. We are people. We're not just meant to like get married and have kids, you know? Like we're not meant to just only be mothers. Like that is part of what we are capable of doing, but that is not all we are, just mothers, you know? There's way more to us. And especially like if you did go off and serve in the war, don't try to like make it seem like you didn't do that, you know what I'm saying? Like don't make it seem like, oh, that's only for men, because this girl has seen some gruesome things. This girl has been through it, and they're trying to take that from her by saying, oh, you're not a man, so women didn't serve in the war. It's like, yeah, well, I was there. They hit on some really big key things in the book, like PTSD, trauma, being accepted by your family, love. Oh my god, the love story in this book was so like, my heart. It is so heart-wrenching, I'm telling you. Like you need to have thick skin and you need to be mentally ready and emotionally ready for this book. It was so sad. I remember like just being so shocked, like the women was so freaking good. Way to go, Kristen Hanna. I want to read more books by her, so please drop your favorite recommendation in the comments and I'll definitely check it out. The next audiobook I listened to was this one. I'm not even gonna say that out loud because I feel like uncomfortable saying it, but it was basically like a self-help motivational kind of book. Like I said, I've been going for like morning walks, and on my morning walks I was listening to like motivational YouTube videos, but then I got tired of like the ads and I was like, you know what, I just want a book that's like, it helps me get in like another non-fiction book, just like walking every morning. So anyway, I always see this book when I go book shopping. I'm not even gonna lie, it always catches my eye, but I just never actually like picked it up. I was on Audible and it was kind of like recommended to me, so I was like, oh, so I listened to like the preview of it, and it's like the Scottish person who is basically telling you like, get over your own crap. Like stop worrying about what other people think of you and just go out and do what you want to do. Like the only person, hold on. Okay, the only person that's standing in your way is you. And girl, the notifications, I feel so popular. The only person standing in your way is you. And so you need to make sure that like anything you want to do, go do it. It's like if you have this goal of going to the gym every single day, what's stopping you? The book is literally like calling you out on your BS. I mean, the language is like, based on the title alone, you can tell that it's just like aggressively like, what? Like what? No. Like stop the BS. Like stop the excuses. Stop the self-sabotaging situation. Like just go and do it. Like really, first of all, I always say this, but like really nobody cares. It's true. And then second of all, another thing that really stuck with me with this book is like how it's like if you have a crazy dream, like you want to do this crazy thing, the guy who like was narrating the book, he was like, what do you think that people around you are going to say about this dream? He was like, think about it. We all fly in airplanes like it's normal now, but what did people say to the Wright brothers when they first thought of like creating an airplane? Like they probably thought that they were absolutely insane. Like, you want us to get into a metal tube, go in the air and land somewhere else and like not die? Like imagine being in that time and having these crazy life-changing ideas. Everybody probably thought like, oh, they're crazy, like they're not gonna go anywhere with that, like nothing's gonna happen. And then it happened. Now we are all on planes every single day like it's normal. In fact, I'm gonna go fly somewhere in a few days. So like, You know, and like, so when you have these crazy ideas, or like Arnold Schwarzenegger, they talked about him in the book too, how like he was from a whole different country. He became the governor of California. I was like, I didn't even know that. But he became the governor of California. Anyway, he was from this small town, like kind of poor, whatever, grew up poor. And he had this very old school family. And his dream was to be like an American actor, famous, like celebrity. And the guy was like, what do you think his parents said about that dream? He's from this small town, a whole different country. He wants to move to America, which whenever he was growing up, America was like the dreamland and like the place to be. Like, it just seemed like this other world. And this kid is over here saying, yeah, I want to be a famous actor in that other world. What do you think his friends and family said to him? Probably like, dude, like, that's a good dream. Good luck getting that, you know? He said if he would have listened to those people, he would probably still be where he's from, you know? Not the governor of California, not like an extremely famous actor making it big in America, in a whole different country. Like, you don't have to accept people's limiting beliefs of you. Just because someone says that like your dream sounds crazy doesn't mean that like you won't be able to achieve that dream. Just because other people who are not you don't understand it doesn't mean that you can't achieve it. And I was like, that part is really real. Like, the guy was like, we're not trying to be the Wright brothers. Most of us are just trying to have a comfortable life, travel, have nice friends and family, and have a healthy romantic life. We're not trying to like create this new invention. But some of you may be trying to do that. But anyway, he's saying like, I'm betting your dreams aren't as big as their dreams. What if they would have listened to all the people that said that they couldn't do it? We would not be flying in airplanes right now. Even cars, cell phones, all these like crazy inventions. Surely people around them thought that they were crazy at the time. Now it's like a household thing. And you gotta think about what it was like in their time, before the airplane, before he became the actor. Before, it was much harder than it is now, because now all you have to do is have a cell phone and like Wi-Fi, and you really could become famous instantly. Like, I don't want to say instantly, but you can become known a lot faster and easier than they had it, you know? But even now, people still have the same fear. Like, if you try to tell your friends like, I want to be a famous singer, I want to be as famous as like Beyonce, whatever, they're gonna go, good luck with that. If you let their opinion weigh more than your opinion, then you'll never even grow into the person you were meant to be. I needed that message. I needed that. I needed to hear how like some people have crazy dreams and everyone around them don't get it, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go for it because they don't get it. Even if it's your mom and your dad, your cousin, your brother, the people who are closest to you, even them can be like, oh, that's a bad, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know, you know? Some people have told me that about some of my dreams. Like, my dreams felt crazy until it was done. Like, I'm a first generation college graduate, and at first, like, it was just like no one has ever done it, and so how am I gonna do it, you know? It's like things like this that sets you apart from everyone else. Just because y'all didn't do it doesn't mean that I can't do it. Or just because you may think that this is scary, and it is scary, doesn't mean that I still shouldn't go for it. So in my opinion, that was the underlying message of that book. I highly recommend it, and it was a really, really quick, short read. Like, the book was so short, when it was over, I was like, oh, that was it? It really took me like a day or two to get through the whole book. So if you want a quick, motivational, get your stuff together book, then that is a great choice for you. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10. Alright guys, I hope you have enjoyed this style of video. If so, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I make bookish content and lifestyle content every single week, so be sure to subscribe if you care to know more about me and my life, and if you like the way that I talk about books. If you like the style of me cutting to different times when I read the book, then also leave a comment below. I try to do something new this video instead of me just sitting here talking about all of the books that I read. I wanted it to be like in real time, like when I read it. So some of these clips I look like absolute trash, and I know, I get it. It's giving authentic, it's giving real and unscripted. Very raw, you know? So if you like that, then please be sure to comment that so that I can know, or I'm never doing that again. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video every Sunday and Tuesday. Bye!